Hurricane Matthew pummeling Georgia's coast overnight, slamming South Carolina residents with high winds, heavy rain, and cutting power to millions of people.
It is getting worse, and so we are looking at major storm surge. We're all scared.
ABC 7 has live team coverage as the storm could make landfall this morning.
Florida residents on the East Coast are in the clear this morning, but Hurricane Matthew still making its way up the East Coast. Good morning, I'm Annie Hubble.
And I'm Brian Anderson. It is 7 a.m. on this Saturday morning. ABC 7 has crews stationed across Florida's East Coast, where sunrise this morning will shed light on more damage and a long weekend of cleanup. It's still a Category 2 storm with an expected landfall this morning. Let's send it over to Lauren Lister with the latest from New Smyrna Beach.
Good morning. You know, it is hard to believe that less than 24 hours ago, you could barely walk where I am now. The winds were so strong as Hurricane Matthew pounded this area. You can tell it left behind down trees like this and worse, and now it continues heading north.
The deadly hurricane wreaking havoc as it moves up the coast. Overnight, Matthew bringing deafening rain, storm surge, and destruction to South Carolina, flooding roads, downing trees, and driving cars off the road. An eerie light show on this highway as multiple power lines explode. The powerful Category 2 hurricane has weakened, but continues to show its force. States of emergency declared in Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina.
Really, the best thing now is to just hunker down. Stay in a safe place. Don't move. Don't try and move around.
This after pummeling Florida.
Sound like a train hitting the house. That's all I can say. The wind was just so strong.
As Matthew barreled through Palm Coast, a home security camera captures the moment rushing water crashes into a home. Whole roads getting washed away. St. Augustine, one of the hardest hit areas, with water flooding downtown streets, trapping dozens at this inn. As Matthew travels north, 26,000 people riding it out at shelters in the Carolinas, while thousands are without power on the Georgia coast.
And in Florida, more than 1 million people are without power. Now, as the cleanup begins, residents where we are being told it could be a week before they have their electricity back. Live in New Smyrna Beach, Florida, I'm Lauren Lister, ABC News. Now back to you.
Well, Matthew now away from Florida, but the worst just now coming into portions of South Carolina. The condition is going to deteriorate throughout the morning in North Carolina. Here's the latest on Hurricane Matthew. The 5 a.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center. Winds sustained 105 miles per hour, making it still a Category 2 hurricane. It's moving to the north and northeast at 12 miles per hour. That easterly component important. The forecast is for this to turn out to sea, and that's exactly what is starting to occur here with that now more easterly movement to the storm. But it is nearing landfall in South Carolina right now. Here's what this looks like on radar. The entire southeastern side of the storm completely void of anything in the way of precipitation. You see, though, the eye wall, the northwestern edge of it, is lifting into the Charleston area as we speak. As we zoom in, you see there is Charleston and there's the Hilton Head area. This entire region likely seeing hurricane force winds right now. Reports of parts of Charleston underwater with storm surge moving in, unfortunately, right around high tide there too. So likely some significant damage ahead for Charleston. Along with this, very heavy rain for the Carolinas into Virginia. We're talking some locations near 9 inches of rain by the time Matthew moves back out over water into Sunday. So even some inland flooding possible with this system going through the weekend. Now, the path for Matthew, fairly unusual looking as we go deeper into time. This will take a turn out to sea as we head through Sunday into Monday and then sort of spin across the southwest Atlantic, likely weakening significantly, but could throw some increased moisture our way as we head into the middle of the week. I'll tell you what I mean in the 7-day forecast. That's coming up in about 10 minutes.
Right now, the death toll for Florida is 5. That number may continue to rise. Authorities say an elderly couple died from carbon monoxide poisoning. They were running a generator in the wake of Hurricane Matthew. Now, 2 more people died when emergency crews couldn't reach them, and 1 woman passed away when she went outside to feed her animals.
Before Matthew skirted Florida, the storm wreaked havoc on Haiti as a major hurricane. More than 800 people are confirmed dead. Right now, tens of thousands are left homeless. Devastation and a daunting relief effort are just getting underway for so many people there.
And the numbers continue to come in about power outages. Over 1 million customers are still without power this morning. Most of those outages are on the East Coast.
Lee, DeSoto, and Charlotte counties are in the clear with no outages. Hendry and Glades County just have a couple. Governor Rick Scott said in some places it still could take days to restore all of the power, and it all depends on how much damage Matthew caused. Lake Okeechobee could reach its highest water level in a decade. That is the ominous forecast from the Army Corps of Engineers. The good news is that the Herbert Hoover Dike appears to have weathered the storm without any damage. The Corps is doing some detailed inspections now, monitoring conditions over the coming days to see just how much water they'll have to release into the Caloosahatchee River. The estimated water level could reach 16.5 feet on that lake in the worst case scenario.
Well, good news for Disney World. If Disney World was in your plans this weekend, the park will reopen. It was shut down all day yesterday because of Hurricane Matthew. So if you had planned to head to the theme park this weekend, they can go on as scheduled. Now, gates open at 8 o'clock this morning. Water parks, Disney Springs, and Mini Golf will also return to their normal hours.
Voters, despite the bad weather, if you voted by mail in Lee County, your mail-in ballot was sent out as scheduled this week. The Lee County Supervisor of Elections office says it mailed out more than 150,000 mail-in ballots, but those ballots could still be delayed. Postal processing plants are just reopening, and Monday is a Columbus Day holiday, which is a U.S. postal holiday, and Governor Rick Scott is sticking by his decision to not extend voter registration.
This morning, all of the hurricane shelters in Southwest Florida are closed. Over 300 people from the East Coast were sheltered in Lee County, 50 people in Charlotte County, and 37 in Glades County.
A report from Ball State University says Hurricane Matthew has the potential to be the most expensive hurricane in U.S. history, causing as much as $269 billion in damage. This potentially record-breaking total could affect how much you pay for homeowners insurance. Rates could take a hit across the state.
Businesses took advantage of Hurricane Matthew's arrival. At least 2,200 cases of price gouging were reported across the state of Florida. Some reports were right here in Southwest Florida. One was at the Budget Inn in Punta Gorda. A customer says rates are normally around $70 a night, but they were charged over $100. The manager says the reason for that higher price charge was because 3 children were also checking in.
Let's get you more right now on what the different categories of hurricanes actually look like. If you see here, this is a Category 1 storm, and winds are about 70 to 95 miles an hour. So you may lose some shingles on your roof, but everything else remains pretty much intact.
And this one is Category 3. This storm strength is powerful enough to blow the door off of your house. Now, the roof of your house can flap in the wind because its power can lift off the weak points. Category 3 is when a lot of trees start to fall. This is a simulation, of course, from the Weather Channel. That reporter wouldn't actually be standing out there in a Category 4 storm because the winds are so strong that your entire home is getting torn apart, as you can see in this simulation. Matthew was a Category 4 at one point when it made landfall in Haiti. Continuing our team coverage of storm damage this morning, we now turn to Jacqueline Beavis. Yeah, she joins us live near Daytona Beach, where a storm made a mess of a well-known vacation spot. Jacqueline, what are you seeing?
Yeah, it is a mess out here. I really want to show you just how strong these winds were. Look at some of the stuff left behind. This is a huge pylon. It's obviously pretty heavy. Over this way, though, that's a trash can. A city trash can. Those things very heavy. Just behind it, it's probably tough for Chris to see, but there is a huge metal box. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what it has in it. I can't kick it. I can't push it. I can't move it. You can see some of the awning here against these condominiums. Just a mess out here. There is so much cleanup to do. Now, again, thankfully, there hasn't been any reports of any serious injuries because a lot of people heeded to those to those mandatory evacuations on this barrier island. Chris, take a look at this thing, though. This heavy door ended up here. It's impossible to know where that thing was, but now it's in the middle of a parking lot. There's, again, a lot of cleanup to do. The sun's starting to rise over Daytona Beach. A lot of people will be out here this morning to see what Hurricane Matthew left behind. Reporting live in Daytona Beach, Jacqueline Beavis, ABC 7.
Thank you, Jacqueline, for some great reporting over the past couple of days. Her photographer, Chris, also doing a great job. You heard her talking to Chris, showing just so much damage in Daytona Beach. Weather-wise in Southwest Florida, though, it's going to be a great day. So if you're looking for something fun to do, ABC 7 can help. The Naples Zoo is celebrating their second annual Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. Dora and Diego from the Nickelodeon show Dora the Explorer will be there, and there will be a meet and greet for both characters.
Today, the airport in Englewood is having the 10th annual Fly-In Breakfast. It starts at 9 o'clock this morning and goes until noon. Admission is free as well as parking. The menu includes pastries, orange juice, and coffee, all available for about $6.
And the Fort Myers Police Department hosts their 9th annual Cops and Joggers 5K and Family Fun Night. It is this evening at 5 and ends at 10. It'll be at Centennial Park. This family event has music, food vendors, emergency equipment to learn about, a SWAT obstacle course, plus a children's fun area.
Well, that's a football brawl. Up next, get more on what you don't expect to happen at a high school football game.
But first, a look at what's ahead in sports. Good morning, Nate.
I'm Nate Foy, and coming up in sports, the biggest name in golf announces his comeback after 14 months off. Also, week 7 in the high school football season. We have your highlights next in sports.